PragerU is a right-wing conservative YouTube channel, and they recently did a video where they interviewed a bunch of weed fans on 420 about socialism. Now, keep in mind that they misuse the term socialism many times, and they even exploit their misunderstanding of socialism in a couple different places here. Take a look.
What's up, guys? This is Will Witt with PragerU. Today we're at the annual 420 festival here celebrating weed, the legalization of weed in Denver, Colorado. We're talking to people today about socialism and free healthcare. Let's do it. So why are you guys here today?
To just celebrate f***ing 420, dude.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about free healthcare?
I think it should be a thing. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want that? I don't know. Yeah, who wouldn't want that?
Yeah. Who do you guys think would pay for the free healthcare?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know enough about politics, unfortunately.
You guys think we should have free healthcare?
Yes, most definitely, because some people aren't able to afford it. So, I mean, it'll be beneficial mostly to them, but to people also in America.
We should definitely have it. Right. We should definitely have it. It's a necessity nowadays. So
I'm a combat veteran, so my health care is taken care of by the VA. I believe though that we all are entitled to health care. Other countries are doing it and it's working. So wake up, join the 21st century.
Yeah. A question: when you see like the VA and how they handle healthcare, they don't do a great job with it. You think it would be better with like the free market handling that, or with like the government trying to handle that?
I don't actually know. That's a good question, because the government does make a complete cluster of the VA. You know, I've been trying to get an appointment for 7 months, so.
And I'm an author.
You're an author?
Yeah, I wrote the ebook Revolution or Extinction.
What do you guys think about socialism?
I mean, I think it's really like a good thing to have and do, socialize with like a lot of people and like meet a lot of people, so I don't know. I think it's like a good thing in life to like introduce yourself to people and like talk.
Good, we're socializing right now.
Oh yeah, right.
You don't like my haircut?
It has a lot of potential. Your is boring like a Republican. You young, my. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Republican haircut.
That's true. I don't want to look like a Republican. Like a Bernie Sanders wants socialism, Ocasio-Cortez, some other people. What do you guys think about that? Is it a good idea, socialism in America?
I think so, yeah. I think it's just stigmatized based from history. But if we incorporate some aspects of it and still keep, a democracy, because it's like a form of our economy. So if we merge the two, I think it could work.
You need to stop looking at like Russia and all those countries and look to the future. What do you think about socialism in Colorado and America?
I think we have to have socialism now.
Having democratic socialism makes sense. It's really about helping people in our society. If we have money for war, why wouldn't we have money to help our citizens?
How do you guys feel about the direction Denver is heading in?
I don't know. I'm just like, whatever happens, happens.
Bringing your kids to a 420 festival. Nice. What do you think about socialism? Good idea?
I don't know if it'd be a good idea for us, but let's try it.
All right, guys. We just finished up here at the 420 festival here in Denver, and we found that everyone we talked to wanted socialism and free healthcare. The education system is not doing a very good job here in Denver. This is my home state, and it's very sad to see that.
So I have a lot to say about this video. I think the number one issue that Democrats are facing right now is the confusion of the terms socialism, democratic socialism, and social democracy. Kyle Kulinski talked about this, and I talk about this quite a bit. In my view, terms do matter. I go against Tulsi Gabbard in this sense, and even Bernie Sanders and a lot of the progressives. Terms matter. If you're going to use these words, you should know what these words mean. And a lot of people will say, yeah, well, people have different meanings for different words. No, bullcrap. That's not how politics works. That's not how political theory works. The idea is that there is actually a political dictionary made by Oxford, guys, that has a list of all these different terms in politics, and it's more or less in the political research community the objective standard to use. The idea is if you are in a research community, you drop the word socialism, and you misuse it, they're going to exploit the heck out of you. But people don't do that when they're just talking colloquially at these like events when there's interviews and so forth. So Republicans exploit that from Democrats. Now, Republicans know the definition of socialism. At least a lot of them do. Socialism is the social ownership of the means of production. And you might say, yeah, I support socialism. You're wrong. You don't. You definitely do not support socialism. Most people do not support socialism. It's incredibly rare to find a progressive that actually supports socialism. And here's why. With socialism, you don't have private property. Like, if anyone says, I support socialism, they definitely don't know the difference between socialism, democratic socialism, and social democracy. And so these guys know that, and they use socialism, these right-wingers, they use the word socialism because when you say socialism, a lot of people think about communism, a lot of people think about Karl Marx, they look at the USSR, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is a failed system, and we almost went to war over this thing. And it's really scary, and socialism is scary. And at one point, Chris Cuomo on CNN talked to Bernie Sanders, wrote socialism in like this very scary font on a whiteboard, and I couldn't believe that day. But socialism is a scary term for people. It has a negative connotation. And honestly, it should. But what sucks is when people like Bernie Sanders and AOC, they'll take on that word as if it's a good thing. It's not a good thing. It is not a good thing to have social ownership of the means of production. That is a terrible idea. I don't want us owning or figuring out how to distribute iPhones to everyone else in an equal fashion. Like, that's not how we should do this. There should be a government. And in socialism, there's no government. Literally, Karl Marx said, quote, the government withers away. The government withers away. There's no government in socialism. So you have just these people just being nice and stuff. I don't like that idea. I hate that idea. And so these students, they look silly because they have different meanings for the word, but they'll go out and they'll still say like, yeah, I support socialism. And so many people nowadays, if you ask them, and this is according to the polls, do you support socialism? People will say yes. It's like, no, you don't, dude. No, you don't. So I want to talk about that first. I want to address that first. I want to first also address social democracy and democratic socialism. One of the ladies on this on the interview said, having democratic socialism makes sense. That sentence alone doesn't make sense. So let me explain to you what democratic socialism is. There are two ways, at least that I know of achieving socialism. And understand, again, I don't like socialism. But this is, I think, according to Karl Marx and maybe a couple other political theorists at the time, there are two ways of getting to socialism. Either you force it with one central government via communism, and then slowly the government withers away, or you vote for it by democratic means. And if you vote for it, that is democratic socialism. And so if you say you're a democratic socialist, that just means that you believe in socialism and you want the form of government to convert to socialism by voting for it. And so what you do is you get a bunch of buddies together and you say, hey guys, let's all like completely invade Congress, like get voted into Congress and advocate for socialism. And we'll like put a bunch of amendments in that say the government is completely withered away and this is how society is supposed to work. And we just crush the government and we convert to socialism by voting for it. Not by force, but just by voting for it. That's democratic socialism. And so when she says having democratic socialism makes sense, there's no such thing as democratic socialism. There's only democratic socialists. Democratic socialism is not a thing. It's absolutely not a thing. There's no you can look up the dictionary from Oxford. There's no such thing as democratic socialism. There's everything by like that's like assuming that's a form of government. It's not a form of government. It's a strategy. Democratic socialist is just a politician that has a certain strategy of getting to socialism. But socialism is the underlying philosophy. Social democracy is when you have, and this is according to Wikipedia, I think also the Oxford Dictionary, I could be wrong about that, but this is what social democracy means, and this is what I support. This is what every progressive supports, but they don't, even Bernie Sanders, but they don't know it. Social democracy means that you have capitalism and you have democracy, two things that are fundamental to your society. But then on top of that, you advocate for social and economic interventions placed in by the government, like free healthcare maybe, or free college, and that these social and economic interventions promote social justice, and so that everyone has an equal opportunity. That is so freaking crucial, guys. I want every single one of my viewers to write that down somewhere, because that is the form of government that we need to be advocating for. That is what we all are. When we talk about progressive platforms, that's pretty much what we're all referring to. It's incredibly rare to find an actual democratic socialist, or even a socialist, like someone who or a communist maybe. Those are very rare people. All right, so now let's talk about the content of this video. I freaking love this video. It's just a bunch of weed people saying yeah, we gotta have free healthcare. We gotta have it. We gotta have it. That was funny. That was honestly genuinely funny. Watching these people just casually say yeah, man. Yeah. Free healthcare, man. Now, I am going to agree with the interviewer. Bringing your kids to a 420 festival, probably not the best idea. That was not a good decision on the mom's part. But that's completely unrelated to the policy that was mentioned. Now, there was actually a really good conversation. They were talking past each other, but the interviewer and this one guy who was a veteran, the question that was asked of him was, do you think the government should take care of the VA, or do you think it should be left to the private market? Now, understand that the interviewer, when he said he was referring to health insurance, but the veteran interpreted as health care. And there's a difference, because when you are a veteran, you have health care given to you as a right. But the idea is you're given health insurance and you're given health care by the government. Whereas Medicare, Medicaid, the way it works is you're just given health insurance and you can go to the private market to get your health care. So there's a difference between veteran care, the VA, and Medicare for all, according to Bernie Sanders' proposal. Those are two different things. The VA kind of works like the UK system, whereas Medicare for all, according to what Bernie Sanders is proposing, is more similar to the Canadian system. Now, technically, the UK system is more popular than the Canadian system. However, I think, this is just my view, I like the Canadian system a little bit more because I like the idea of being able to choose where I go to, and that these places have an incentive to give me good quality health care. And so there is still some sort of competition involved, and I'm not getting crap. But I'm not very familiar with the UK system versus the Canadian system as much as I probably should be. I'll admit that. So the VA sucks. It's popular. It's an incredibly popular program. I think it's ranked number 2 as the number 2 top government program or something like that. Maybe number 3. But it still sucks because, like the guy said, he's waiting 7 months for his healthcare appointment. Why is that? Well, it's because Republicans don't fund the VA. You're not funding, you're giving pennies to these guys. And so, yeah, waiting times are long because you don't have enough doctors. You don't have enough care. You don't have enough oversight. You don't have an admin that can basically make the system robust. And so, obviously, the private healthcare market is a lot better. But in terms of insurance, My goodness, yes, healthcare should be a right. Veterans should have healthcare free. And if you disagree with that, like something's wrong with you. But I'll even take a step further. If you disagree with the fact that every human should have healthcare as a human right, then something's wrong with you. Like you like killing people. Like you have no solution. And it drives me nuts when people say like, yeah, well, who's going to pay for it? The way you pay for any other government program. Like that was the dumbest response. Like, who do you think is going to pay for your free healthcare? Well, who do you think is going to pay for the $750 billion budget given to the Pentagon? Who do you think is going to pay for the military that's bigger than the next top 10 militaries combined? Who do you think is going to pay for I was just going to say the military. Military pretty much is the biggest problem right now. But there are government, the police. There we go. Firefighters. There we go. Yeah, you have social programs, right? Who's going to pay for those? Oh yeah, the taxpayer. That's right. We pay for them already. It's funny if you ever go to a Republican, they will always say that they support firefighters, and you ask them why, and they always say, and by the way, I do this all the time. I converse with so many Republicans, it's insane every day. You ask them, why do you support firefighters? They will most likely say, because I don't want there to be fires. And you say, so you think that it's a human right, or you think it's that we should be entitled to protection from fires because that could potentially damage our property, maybe even kill us. Yeah. So then why don't you support free healthcare? It's the same concept. Oh, because I don't believe in socialism. Yeah, so this is a ridiculous interview, but I still nonetheless enjoyed that everyone was totally high on weed.